Good Friday, everybody. Here with you on the Weekend Big Show, powered by Lawdog Sports. I am Chuck Ramsey, the Lawdog, here with you. And Jeremy Schroder, my partner of a long time here on the program. And a lot of stuff going on here in the spring. It is a fun time of the year as the NBA playoffs are about to get underway. The Masters, a tradition like several others, is the name of this episode. So, Jeremy Schroder, how have you been, my friend?
Oh, I'm good. A little tired, long week.
Yeah.
But trying to hunker down and watch some of this golf tournament before I get busy later.
Yeah, I wanted to yesterday a whole lot more than I did, but it was just one of those days where things to get done and things to do during the day, and then trying to watch the highlights last night. And my gosh, you'd have thought that I don't know. There's so much commentary on the mothership with regards to the Masters that I don't know that they spend enough time. This is just my opinion. I would like to see more time spent just seeing the highlights and showing me what happened. I don't know.
Well, you got to turn over the Golf Channel for that, I guess. Are they still a thing? Is that still a thing?
Yeah, I'm on the Golf Channel right now. NBC holding on to that with the death grip.
Yeah, I'm watching the ESPN Plus. Got the featured group up.
Oh yeah.
Watch Justin Rose hit a flop 7 wood into a par 3. Someone behind him said, "Nice layup."
We're streaming live on YouTube here with you. We want to invite you to join the conversation. Feel free to comment on anything that you hear or want to talk about. We will be glad to interact with you. Jeremy, speaking of golf, and it's a tradition unlike anything I've ever done, but yours truly got an ace on a par 3 this week at Romano's.
I saw that. How was that? Walk me through the hole.
Let's walk you through the hole here. Okay, so hole number 17 at Romano's is a short par 3. And so I pull out pitch and wedge, and I just lift it up a little bit off the tee. And the green is sloped downwards. And it's got a plateau up at the top, I guess you would call it. And if you don't get up on that plateau, you're rolling down into a creek. I mean, there's no stopping it. And some guys who are pretty accurate with their shots will even lay up off in the rough to the right of the hole. And it's like I said, it's an elevated tee box. So you're pitching down. So there's a hill. And this probably tells you everything you need to know. There's a hill that runs up high off of the right side of the green, and they've burned a lot of the brush that used to be there. If you lost one in there before, it was gone. But there's also some gypsum stones sticking out. So yours truly proceeds to blade one right into the gypsum. It careens off of the gypsum straight to the hole, hits the pole, and goes in.
Oh my gosh!
So it's a hole in one, buddy. People could say what they want.
It all counts the same. It doesn't matter how pretty it is, right?
It was an ace on the score sheet.
That's right.
Dan Narva joining us from Michigan here on the program. Good morning after a few weeks. Congrats on the ace. Thanks, Dano. But anyways, it was a lot of fun, and the guys I golfed with, they said, well, we got to get a video of you, walking up and pulling it out of the hole, because I'm going to say at the age range of me and my group, spotting that for sure and making sure it went in is tricky business. It's not always an exact science. So I had to walk up there and confirm, yes, I did see it go in the hole off the pole.
Man, that's awesome.
It was fun.
Yeah, I've come close a couple of times, but yeah, no hole.
I played in a Weatherford Scramble last season, last May. And there was a group of young guys, and I'm sure they're all really good golfers, hit the ball a ton. Well, they came in and said that out of 4 in their group that they had 2 aces on the day.
Wow.
I mean, that's amazing.
Was it a scramble?
Yeah, it was a scramble. So
you can't take any of that seriously or believe it.
Well, we were playing in a scramble, so
the guys that come in, we shot a 48.
Yeah, but it was a 4-man scramble, and your 4-man group is grouped up with 4 other dudes. You're teeing off 8 at a time, so somebody would have cracked if they
little accountability. I guess.
Yeah. So, anyways, all right. So so much about my golf misadventures, but it was pretty cool. I mean, I had to buy beers for everybody.
I was going to ask, did you buy drinks?
Oh yeah. We went up to the clubhouse and cracked open a cold one.
Nice.
So anyways, but it's been beautiful weather here in Oklahoma all week long. It was a little warm yesterday, but man, just amazing weather, all except for Tuesday night when I called soccer for Weatherford boys and girls soccer at the Tornado Bowl in Clinton, where the wind comes sweeping up the plain. And it was quite the adventure in the wind that night. But even that wasn't just too terrible like it has been. But if you get a chance, I mean, I keep saying, me and you need to jump over to Westwood sometime. And if I ever time it right to get to Norman and you've got the free time, we need to do it.
Definitely. I need to get back out there. It's been too long.
Yeah. Well,
of course, watching the Masters really gets it going.
Oh yeah. That's the kicker to this time of year is the opening Grand Slam event is just, wait, Grand Slam, that's tennis, isn't it?
Yeah, major.
The opening major. Got confused there. The opening major's right here in the heart of tax season, so you want to get out and hit some golf balls.
Sure.
Anyway, a lot to get into today. We will visit here shortly with Grant Merrill from T-Town Sports. He's got a website and a media outlet going up there in Tulsa town. And Tulsa's an interesting arena, Jeremy, because you've got Tulsa University, which their new coach is on there. I saw him on social media this week saying, we want to be the team in Tulsa. Well, you also have a lot of OSU fans, a lot of OSU grads in Tulsa. You have a lot of OU fans. I mean, growing up outside of Tulsa, I was an OU fan growing up. A lot of that had to do with my dad, I guess. Mm-hmm. But also, you've got some Arkansas love in Tulsa because you're so close to Fayetteville.
Yeah, you'd think Connor would make his way up there just to stay.
Yeah,
just stay there, Connor. Just go over there.
It's funny. Connard was going out. Connard's my favorite follow on social media. He was going after some country singer or country rock singer, some dude, and calling him a D-bag. And then some guy says, you live in crappy Oklahoma, and that guy was from Georgia.
Yeah. Connor doesn't have much chill when he's on social media, which sometimes can be entertaining.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And then also, I mean, it's a nice barometer for us who we do social media. We follow things on Twitter and see things, but it's also an interesting thing. This whole SEC social media thing, that's the one aspect where they can clearly say that they set the bar for insanity. I mean, the SEC fans on Twitter, you're going to see the fringe element really out there on display.
I think everybody on Twitter is the fringe element.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I watched a documentary that was talking about a lot of the I never did message boards up after I was 30. But I would say Twitter's resembling what I heard about called 8chan. And that's not a good thing. So,
or 4chan, 8chan,
4chan, I don't know 8chan. I think it gets worse as it goes up.
I'm pretty sure. I've heard of the Chan sites, but I don't know.
Never been on one. Never want to go on one. But apparently,
no.
The fringe element's been emboldened by the South African one. So,
sounds like a lot of dudes in their mother's basement.
A lot of dudes sitting there like that character on South Park that was killing everybody in World of Warcraft.
Yes.
All right. So real quick, let's get into some condolences. And this one's tough because the guy is not old by any stretch of the imagination, but rest in peace to Patrick Fletcher, P. Fletch from the 1998 John Blake era. And then also along with the Bob Stoops initial years, but a quarterback. I thing I remember about Patrick Fletcher is him coming in and saving a game that, Joe Dickinson, and we talked about Joe Dickinson when we had Mike Steele on, just a clueless buffoon. But Patrick Fletcher,
TCU game.
TCU game, 1998, they're losing. That's in Fort Worth, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Because that's the game that John Blake wasted Josh Norman's redshirt year to recover an onside kick.
Yeah.
Good job. Josh Norman on that 03 team would have been a lot of fun.
Would he have still been around? No, he would not have been around in 03. Quentin Griffin on that 03 team would have been.
So the 02 season, he would have been handy also.
Yes.
All right. Okay. So, anyways, but rest in peace, Patrick Fletcher. I haven't heard what they're saying is the cause of Patrick's demise, but I do remember, Jeremy, after OU won the 2000 national title, they had a pep rally or a reception rally in the north end zone of Owen Field, and I'll just say this: Josh Heupel, for what a great quarterback he was and a great coach he's become, public speaking's not necessarily his forte. He's
he was rather.
I heard him speak. I heard him speak at my wife's, and he was younger then. He was just out of college, but it was a boring, talk. But Patrick Fletcher, man, that guy got up there and just wailed. I mean, he was fired up, and he got the crowd fired up, and it was really a lot of fun. So, rest in peace, Patrick Fletcher. He had some, he wasn't going to elevate OU into the upper echelon of the Big 12 at that time, but he was definitely going to keep them from losing to the ne'er-do-wells that they were facing early in the season.
Didn't he come in against Iowa State that year when they miraculously beat the that was Jake Sills.
That was Jake Sills.
Miraculously beat the bad Iowa State team at the time at home.
Yours truly was taking some Prozac at the time, and I thought, man, I'm have to do something.
Double up.
Double up. I'm sitting there just comatose in the north end zone, and we're sitting there trying to come back against Iowa State. Man, what a day! Well, hey, let's get into, and like I mentioned, rest in peace, Patrick Fletcher. Godspeed to you in the next life, and praying for your family and loved ones and everyone. And it's sad to hear that he's passed, because he would not be very old. He would probably be 46.
46, yeah.
Anyway, all right, so let's talk with our guest here today, and it's always a great chance for me to visit with him. His name is Grant Merrill. He's with T-Town Sports. You can follow them on social media, particularly Facebook, T-Town Sports. Grant, how are you doing today, buddy?
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for being on. And this is Jeremy Schroder, my co-host. I think you've caught him a little bit before, but
I watch you guys. I mean, I'm one of the three.
So. You're the one.
Oh, all right,
nice. Well, we appreciate Michael Busso checking in also on YouTube Live. And he's here with us today. And Grant, I'll just in full transparency, I first found out about what you were doing and some of the things you had going on when I was with Friday Night Finals with iHeart. And you would call in the Owasso highlights. And I think you were doing Owasso football at the time, back in about 2016, 2017.
Yeah, I started in 2018 and did them for 3 seasons. And, man, I tell you, getting to broadcast the Rams and getting to, be there right alongside Bill Blankenship for all of those years was something I'll never forget and I'll never take for granted. I mean, that – you don't get to do things like that often, and that was a lot of fun. So,
yeah, and it really was kind of the ascension of the Owasso sports program, really. I mean, because your football program, I think in 6A is going to set the tone for a lot of your other sports, but Owasso was really kind of starting that trend to get up there and compete with the Jinx and Unions of the Big 6A in Tulsa.
And that's the thing. I mean, it is so competitive at that level. But when you start talking about the inner workings of those athletic departments, I mean, I think people like Emily Barkley at Union and Zach Duffield at Owasso and now Clay Martin over at Jinx. I mean, they're trying to run their programs like a Division I college program. And in some cases, I think they're ran better or as well as some Division I programs. I mean, we see that every day that some of them kind of turn into a dumpster fire operationally sometimes,
Oh,
and you
yeah.
wonder what in the world's going on. And it's such an ever changing world right now, even in the world of high school sports. I mean, this NIL has had such far-reaching tentacles and far-reaching repercussions that everybody's having to adjust. And I mean, I think to get ready for the college game, these high school athletic departments are having to kind of mirror some of those things, especially the big ones. And you look at Owasso, where you were talking about the ascension of their program. You've had, what Bill Blankenship's done, what Antonio Graham did in 1 year. Now Bill's back, uh, and then Brian Montanati on the basketball side,
Yeah.
and then Larry Turner, who just coached his 1,300th win. He's been at Owasso for like 40 years now, and they've always been a baseball powerhouse. And, all of these, but, there's programs like this at every level. In the Big Four in Tulsa, well, I should say Big Five now that Bixby is what it is.
Yeah.
It's a new world, and it's a world that is only going up.
Well, we don't live in that world in Weatherford,
No.
America. We got homegrown talent. That's how we roll. We don't have an NIL. No.
I'm down here in Norman, and once the schools get too big, they just split off. Every city
Right.
down here, but eastern part of the state, 2015, 2016, my youngest boy played for Norman North, and we went to Owasso, and just sheer numbers, people in the stands, facilities is fantastic. They were pretty dang good then. I can only imagine with the numbers of kids they're bringing in what they are now. I haven't been following because I don't have a kid in school anymore.
Well, it's certainly different, and I mean, you see these bond issues that they're putting out for facilities, and like Owasso back in 2018, I guess it was about the first year that I started doing the play-by-play. They had just put in a sound system and a light system that cost just under $1 million, and I mean, it's the whole. It's got a control room that would make any radio station just salivate.
Yeah.
To look at what they have, and they really blew up during the time I was there. And I just talked. It certainly wasn't anything I did, but they had a guy named Brock Crawford there that really revitalized their sports network and their YouTube broadcasts, and kind of guided them on that. And that's where all of these schools are going. I mean, especially in the Tulsas and the Oklahoma cities of the world, it's different than it was 10 years ago when we were all just calling games on the radio.
Yeah, Tulsa definitely, but here, it took 20 years, 30 years for Norman North to get their own locker room at the one stadium in town. And they may have a new football stadium at Norman North High School next, maybe season after next. It's taking a long time. Y'all got it good up there politically. They take care of the schools and the football programs. It doesn't happen like that on the west side of the state.
Well, and even
more often than not.
Me growing up in Coweta, we were a 3A school when I graduated there in 1988, and Coweta's a 5A, and I know that they've got newer facilities, and just the numbers are exploding. And I've looked on the market at residences in Coweta, and it's astounding what they're asking for houses that I remember when they were built as a kid.
You mean South Broken Arrow?
Yes, the Broken Arrow, the BA Annex is what they call it. Right. But anyways, Grant, after you did a lot of that, and then also, I was a little mad at the time, in full transparency, but then I look back and realize what you had going on. You started a scoreboard show that was carried statewide on Friday nights to kind of rival and kind of maybe fill in some of the gaps that Friday Night Finals had. But you really were taking it in a direction that at the time, I'll freely admit, I didn't see how it would work that way. But really, in this day and time of social media and scoreboard updates and things like that, you have to offer more content on a Friday night than just giving scores. And that's really what I noticed that you were trying to aim at.
Well, first of all, I mean, Friday Night Finals was the gold standard for so long. And I mean, you guys and Jim Reagan and Joel Reagan and everybody that was on there, Todd Miller. When I first went to college in 2000 at OBU, and I was the producer for the Friday night broadcast on KGFF and Shawnee. I'd call Jim and you guys every Friday night, and it was really that was just the show that everybody listened to. And over the years with things like Squirtle, I think that those shows had to take a different direction. And I just kind of noticed too that at the iHeartRadio, and that some of the resources just weren't there, and y'all were working kind of with what you had. And I saw a direction to go in with that, and we did. And it worked for a while. Randy Heights is a great guy. He was my co-host on that show for 3 seasons. And there's very few people that are as connected in the world of Central Oklahoma sports as Randy. And he's one of the most inspirational people I've ever met. And I think that
Yeah.
he does a great job over at the franchise. And we enjoyed doing that. That was kind of a pinnacle of my radio days,
Yeah.
for
Well,
me
and
then.
and you guys even carried it on into basketball season a lot. I think I called in a
Did.
couple of basketball reports for you.
Yeah, we did. We had at one time about 20 stations running it, and we were on the Sports Animal in Tulsa, the franchise in Oklahoma City. Boy, trying to keep those two apart were was kind of a challenge
Yeah.
because there's some competition there. But
Sure.
we were fortunate enough to have people from all over the state and have coaches call in, and that's really what we kind of did, was to focus on the coach interviews,
Yeah.
because by the time all of us got on the air at 11 o'clock or 10 o'clock, everybody knew what the scores was,
Yeah.
thanks to the Squirtle app and all the Twitter and all the technology that was
Exactly.
there.
Yep.
We just really tried to move in a direction that was interviewing coaches and getting to really showcase the kids and their accomplishments on a statewide stage.
Yeah. Well, you dabbled for a while in the Texas Panhandle. You had things going real strong there, and then decided to pull back into Tulsa. I know you have a young one that's finishing out school there at Tulsa Edison, but talk about T-Town sports. What have you got going on with that? What's the goals with that? What's the end game for that?
Well, that's something that we soft launched it about a month ago, and you're right. I did work. We own some radio stations in Texas, and we've gone from a Washoe to scoreboard shows to radio station. I guess I kind of have ADHD when it comes to
You're a
to
hustler, I'll
career
tell
and
you that
business
much.
ventures. But about a year ago in May, I was we own 9 radio stations out in the Texas Panhandle, and I ended up having a stroke.
Yeah.
It was kind of stressful. I've always had high blood pressure, and one morning I was sitting behind the microphone just like I am now, and Rusty started slurring kind of like that, and
Oh my God.
it was not a good thing.
Yeah.
And my wife told me, she said, "Honey, something's got to give. You got to come home." And so we put our radio stations on the market, and right now it is not an easy time to be able to sell radio stations. And I got on my knees that night and I said, God, I don't know where we're going, but if this is what we're supposed to do, lead me in the right direction. We had buyers the next day. No,
Wow.
no kidding. I mean, that it was like, okay, signal received, let's go. And so I came home last year. We got that finalized in September when the new owners took over our stations in Dumas, Border, and Pampa. And so I came back to Tulsa full time, and started looking around at, what are the opportunities here? What can we do to kind of, um, you know, showcase these schools and showcase these kids. And for the Big Four, for Owasso, Jinx, Broken Arrow, for Bixby, I mean, there's no shortage of coverage, and of course we cover them. But my wife is also the head volleyball coach and assistant athletic director at Tulsa Edison, where my daughter's a senior. I guess we practically lived there during the
Yeah.
year. And so, I started seeing that, hey, there's an opportunity here for sports news that isn't behind a paywall, and probably some broadcasts for some schools that aren't getting the attention because, Tulsa, Union, Jinx, Bixby, Broken Arrow, they all have streams. They have, you got guys like Rick Corey doing Union. You got people like uh, Don King, who's done Jinx for years. And I mean, they're really, really good broadcasts. But you get to the Booker T's and the Edisons of the world, and, they don't have that kind of attention on them. So I built T-Town Sports with the idea that hopefully we're going to give some of these kids and some of these schools a little more attention than they're getting, because we have some really, really good athletes in Tulsa
Oh yeah.
at just about every school.
Oh, yeah.
And in TPS, if we can keep those kids from going to, using these new transfer rules and, going to play for Bill or going to play for Lauren down at Bixby, or
Oh my gosh.
if we can navigate those waters, there's some real potential there.
Hasn't Nathan Hale and Will Rogers High School basically just been recruiting grounds for the big 6As?
Well, Edison too. I mean, you had that McClellan kid that played at Edison for quite a while, and he ended up at Owasso. Edison actually produced Sevion Morrison. That he was at KU for a while, and
he was good.
Nebraska and some other places, and so you got some good kids coming out of TPS. But yeah, there's. And even before the transfer rules were in place, you had, suddenly, Mama had a new apartment in Wasso somewhere, and they were playing for the.
I call that the Keywan Jones factor.
Oh my gosh.
I'll never forget. I guess this was 2019. It was about my second or third year doing Wasso, and they had these real good kids. They had a real good quarterback from Claremore, and he had a real good running back there at Claremore. And I don't know how they did it. It appeared it was all legal, but by week 3, they were starting at Owasso. I'm like, good heavens, they make that stuff move,
Covering 4A basketball the way I have the last couple of years, I've gotten a little adept at some of the transfer patterns, but it's it's the nature of the business right now, and it's what they you have to adapt or try to handle it. But something else, and we're visiting with Grant Merrill, longtime friend of mine, and then also with T-Town Sports. Follow them on Facebook, T-Town Sports. And Grant, looking back, I mean, you mentioned Tulsa Edison, and I have a lot of good memories of Tulsa, the Tulsa sports scene from when I was growing up. And you mentioned Rick Corey. I think he was doing radio when I left there in '88.
40 years.
Yeah, he's been around forever. Actually, we scrimmaged against Kevin Pritchard and the Eagles there in the field house there on 41st Street. So
his name's on the wall.
Yeah, Kevin Pritchard was the guy, and man, he was such a great player. And that's when I realized that Division I football at the upper level is so competitive, because he had a decent career at Kansas, but he didn't shine like I thought he would. I mean, you're talking about the top player in the state of Oklahoma, and he's just kind of a role player for Roy Williams. But no, it was Larry Brown at the time. Sorry. But no, with Tulsa, and I get what you're saying. I mean, because like I didn't realize, and you mentioned there's a lot of schools that will stream things on YouTube, and they'll have a broadcast. And I know that a lot of the media has become more accessible, or the media outlets have become more accessible. But then those schools also, probably need somebody to kind of help promote what they're doing and get the word out there, because I had to search high and low for Catoosa highlights or Catoosa streams when we thought we might be facing them in the area tournament up at Stroud. Same thing with Fort Gibson. But is that something that you're going to look at, like you mentioned, the Tulsa public schools, and then some of the bedroom communities that may or may not get all the coverage that the big schools do?
I think so. I mean, it's hard to be all things to all people, and we've got limited resources. But one thing that I've noticed is that the newspaper can't get to everything, and you've seen in the world of media so much cutback and so much these layoffs, and I mean the Tulsa World, for example. And it's no reflection on anybody that's there, but they've had to cut back to where I don't know how Barry Lewis does what he does I don't know when the man sleeps.
Yeah.
and he's at everything. And he's got a few stringers and a few reporters, but mainly it's been him and Mike Brown and even Bill Haston covering some games over the years, last few years, and with Barry leading the charge. And that's just an example of an organization that can't get to everything, and neither can we. But we're living in an age right now where getting the information is so much easier than it was. I think there's probably some opportunities for some things like maybe what you guys are doing on YouTube, lots of coaches shows, interviews, maybe even a more of a localized type post game
Yeah.
scoreboard show / coaches interview show so that in real time we can get reaction to what's going on. AI and there's a lot of people who don't like AI, but Lord, if you can use a tool, use a tool to
Yeah.
help it. And AI is going to change the game for a lot of sports writers and sportscasters, and give us some things that we can use to help make our jobs a little easier. And so all of this coming together, I just think that there is a great opportunity to cover sports like we haven't covered it before.
You're right. And we had Barry Trammell on back in was it summertime, Jeremy, that we visited?
Yeah, it
with
was
Barry
this
Trammell?
summer. Yes.
And it was sadly, it was fresh on the heels of him, being named as as taking the fall for sellout sports. But we
Boy,
talked.
wasn't that a
Yeah,
Oh,
saga?
I wanted to start a GoFundMe for Barry on that one, but because
He'll get out of that okay.
yeah,
I
I
think.
hope so. But the thing is to me, and you mentioned print media and even radio. I think that's the case with so many people who are lifers in the media is you see the edge of the waterfall as you're approaching it, and you think you got a life raft to jump off and get something going in a different direction, and then it just didn't pan out. I think that is a visionary thing. I think what you're looking at doing with, and I've always kind of complimented you for having some vision about doing some things. But we're going to put Jeremy on the AI patrol. He's going to try to get us doing better with AI if he can.
No. When that thing becomes self-aware, we're all done.
Yeah. Hey, as long as those pods that they keep us in are kind of self-suspension and my shoulders don't hurt, I'll freely go.
Well, when we start asking the robots what time we can start the show, that's when we'll know when it's gone too far.
It's over, guys.
You got the Woo Pig Suey hat on. You're an Arkansas kid, and we've got an Arkansas super fan on our list here. He's not checking in yet today, but I threw out that we were going to be visiting with you. Man, you talk about, and I told Jeremy this before you checked in. I got to say, the SEC social media really does seem to take it to a whole nother level. I mean, there's Sooner fans that are, OSU fans and on social media, but man, the SEC and Arkansas fans and that it really does give a new level of crazy, I've noticed.
When I started doing sports talk in Arkansas, and we had a few ventures over there too before I moved this way. And my family's all from Oklahoma. They're all Sallisaw and Sequoia County people, and so this is home for me. But living over in Arkansas, Chuck Barrett, who's now the voice of the Razorbacks, when I first started doing radio, he's like, if you get to the level where you're doing a daily show or you're doing play-by-play, he goes, just don't look at the message boards. He said they're vicious. And that was before Twitter, and that was before Facebook. That was probably 2002 or 2003 when he told me that. And I always kind of remembered that in the back of my head because there's a lot of people who will sit behind a keyboard and they'll say things they'd never say in public. But when you get into the SEC, that goes to a whole new level. And it's like organized campaigns on social media. I know the student section up at Mizzou, the Antlers or whatever they're called for basketball. I mean, they were like meeting the private jets of Arkansas fans at the airport just to harass them, coordinating the effort, and I'm sitting there going, this is Missouri. They hadn't even been in the SEC for a year or two, when all of this was taking place. But you get down in Alabama and Auburn and down in the deep South, it's a whole new world, and it's a whole new level of crazy, and it's a crazy I love, but
Yeah.
it's the for all the changes we've talked about in high school sports, what the SEC has become and the money that's at stake, just with everything, social media, NIL, the network deals. I mean, it's a brand new day, and guess what? Tomorrow will be a brand new day too, because it's rapidly changing every second.
Tomorrow
Yeah.
will be a brand new day, but everyone knows that Missouri fans are the worst, just the worst.
I don't know. My life has been threatened by an LSU fan. I mean, in
Yeah.
2019,
Yeah, and that was in person. So imagine what that guy's saying online.
in 2019, our friend Greg Merrick, that's at iHeart now over in North Carolina, he asked me if I would go on a show in Baton Rouge to help preview the Sugar Bowl. And I'm like, what? And he's like, well, they just need somebody that knows some OU football to go on there. And I'm not going to get on there and say, yeah, OU has no chance. They're going to get demolished, this and that. Well, I got on there and said, I mean, they do things certain way and can utilize the run game with Jalen Hurts, blah, blah, blah. They posted on social media. I will kill this guy. God, but
at least
the
LSU's
crazy-
had some success.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to Death Valley, Chuck?
I have not.
Well, in Alabama are bucket list deals, but Death Valley is absolutely one of the most, I guess, high conflict places I've ever
Pretty
previewed.
Now, I have walked
I would
out of
never-
Jones AT&T after an OU win, and that was that I could feel the eyes upon me out in Lubbock.
I would never desecrate your show with bad language, but when a
It's you too.
9-year-old is calling me something that starts with mother, I mean that's
Yeah.
pretty much an average Saturday in Baton Rouge.
Those are just
right.
passionate fans, Grant.
Yeah, that's right.
They are.
Grant Merrill here with us, T-Town Sports, and we'll share the links to his content there. What do you got going for the rest of the sports season, Grant?
We're streaming some of the late season baseball games starting next week. All this weather and all the storms and all the rescheduling kind of pushed our schedule back just a little bit. But as we get closer to postseason baseball, we're going to start streaming a game of the week there, and then really we get into summer and start getting into previewing football again. And it's hard to believe how quickly it goes. This week we're I may have the hog hat on, but I'm taking Molly down to her campus visit at OU next week, and we've already signed the housing contract. So I may be selling ads for Lawdog Sports to make some extra money before all this is said and done.
50-50 commission, pal. So anyways, yeah, and you are a road warrior. I'll give you that. Hey, real quick, Arkansas hires Oral Roberts' women's coach. Kelsey Music, former SWASU head coach, had a lot of success with the Bulldogs out here in Weatherford. Has there been much talk around Green Country about that hire amongst Arkansas fans that you may know? And I think it's a great hire, but it looked like, as I mentioned, social media was a little skeptical.
There's some skepticism there, and I don't think it's anything on Kelsey. I think that Arkansas fans are just delusional enough to think that we could resurrect Pat Summitt and have her coaching by next season. And I think it's just that. I think that we had, and that Razorback women's basketball program, unfortunately, has just been a dumpster fire since about the mid 2000s decade. We had a very controversial dismissal of Gary Blair back in that was 2003, 2004. He goes to Texas A&M and wins a championship a couple of years later. His head assistant was Vic Schaefer, who's now the head coach at Texas, won the national championship at Mississippi State. So, all of a sudden, Arkansas Razorback women's basketball has watched them do that. And then, we hired Jimmy Dykes for whatever inexplicable reason no coaching experience, does a wonderful job on ESPN, but that didn't go well. Tom Collin didn't go well. Susie Gardner didn't go well. And then, we really thought that Mike Neighbors coming down from, Washington was going to be the turnaround for that program, and that didn't go well. So where this program is going, I don't know, but I think that, I've watched Kelsey Music since I used to do the GAC TV streams back in 2012, 2013. And, I loved watching her teams play. She's an incredible, vibrant coach that, I hope she proves that, you may not necessarily have to be a name to turn the program around. And I really think that that's the only thing that people were complaining about, was that they didn't get somebody more high profile. I think when they see Kelsey, and I think that when they see her brand of basketball, and she start, winning cures most problems. And I think that she starts getting some wins under her belt and turns around the culture of that program. It'll be really good for the Razorbacks, and it'll be good for that women's program, which desperately just needs some energy and some spark in it.
Well, and speaking of your delusional Arkansas brethren, and God knows Oklahoma's, at one point Gino Auriemma was going to be the next men's head basketball coach here in Norman. Just think, when average, everyday, delusional Arkansas fan finds out the information that Sam Pittman is the last remaining branch from John Blake's coaching tree.
Oh, yeah. I was July of 2024 years old when I pieced that together. Barry Trammell reminded us of that. Yeah. I was like, holy cow, he was. Yeah.
I like Sam. I think Sam's a great guy, great coach. He's kind of like that uncle you always like to see at Christmas. He's got that personality of somebody that you just like to be around. And I hope he can get some things together. But it's just, Arkansas has every opportunity to do, just about anything we want. There are more Fortune 500 companies within 10 miles of that stadium than any campus in the country. And the money that's there. I mean, Calipari did, if you told me a year ago that he was going to be our next head coach, I would have laughed you out of town. But here we've been able to make that hire thanks to Johnny Tyson and the resources that they've provided. I think that there's some real future, but it's the life of an Arkansas fan. I just go back to that 2018 1 out away from winning the College World Series, and we drop a dadgum foul ball,
Bermuda Triangle play.
Yeah, and then this year being up over Texas Tech and them coming back and beating us by 2 points in the Sweet 16. I mean, that's just a life of wearing this hat, man. It's not it's not an easy life at all. So.
Yeah. Well, and that, like I said, that's the fun thing about the Tulsa and Green Country areas. You really can just draw fans from, if you get somebody listening and talk multiple outlets. I mean, shoot, Tulsa, I know they're looking to bounce back from the Kevin Wilson experiment, and then also Oral Roberts with basketball and baseball. They've had success on a lot of levels. So an abundance of content up there to cover up there. And I know you guys are going to get on it and do real well. Looking back on, and you mentioned, Kelsey, there was actually a girl from Coweta who played at Arkansas back in the early 90s. Her name was Michelle Thacker, and she was like 6'3" and a lot of blonde hair. And we're friends. We grew up together, and we're friends on Facebook. And she stayed in Fayetteville, so obviously there's an attraction once you get branded with that hog logo. But I'll just ask you this: I mean, George Costanza was supposed to be bringing the chicken beer out from Tyson in Arkansas.
I knew you knew what I was laughing about.
You said Tyson. I was like, the chicken beer. This program can divulge into a Seinfeld reference at any given moment. So anyway, well, Grant, listen, we're going to be following you on T-Town Sports, and we'll also be sharing your content when it's anything close to relevant to kind of our wheelhouse. We're kind of 580 and 405, but I'll always have love for the 918.
Well, you do a great job, and you know I've watched the Weatherford fans just adopt you as like their favorite son, and
Yeah,
you've got a great gig over there, and you know I'm just hopeful that I can bankroll this T-Town Sports League with some advertisements from the Chuck Ramsey Sportscasters Club once it
yeah,
gets up and going on KWEY.
yeah,
You know.
exactly. And I'd always hoped that you and I were honestly when I found out you were venturing into Texas, I was like, man, me and him ought to try to get something going in Wichita Falls because we did at one time, but it's hard going if you're not down there. But that's the joy of retirement is I can kind of relocate where I want. But I tell you, it's so much stuff online, and we're going to follow your content real close, and it's a really fun scene up there in T-Town, and I know you're going to do a great job covering it. And then I'm sure you'll be making a trip 3 or 4 times a month to Normantown next year.
Probably so. There's going to be a lot of Cash App transactions, I'm sure, going back between Tulsa and Norman. But you know, we're looking forward to whatever Molly decides. She started at Edison as their sports trainer and has really wanted to latch on to that. And I think she's got some opportunities there that are going to. Maybe feed that, and you know it's one of those things that you know, I can, as long as my daughter's happy, I can trade this hog hat for a Sooner hat any day of the week. So
That's right. Well, and as you get older, you just kind of go with the flow. That's what I do. It's like whoever's relevant, whoever's doing okay. I can be. You get to an age where you can bandwagon pretty well. So, anyway,
I'm just going to tell her that Jeremy's available to change her flat tire if she's got one, since he's down there in Norman. So
and he probably
Definitely.
also has got a line on the best fake ID people around town too. So.
Come on now, Chuck.
No sangria swirls. All right. Well, hey, he's Grant Merrill, and he's with T-Town Sports. We appreciate him jumping on here on the program with us, talking all kinds of stuff here. And Grant, be safe this spring, and take care of yourself. And we'll look forward to seeing what you guys have going throughout the sports season.
thank you, buddy. I'll send my obligatory text next time a tornado comes up north of Weatherford to make sure you're okay. So,
hey, your weather reports on I-40 were very helpful a lot of times. knowing that it's hitting Canute and on its way to me, that's always a good thing to have somebody notify you. So, always helpful is Grant Merrill. So he's Grant Merrill with T-Town Sports. We appreciate him jumping in here with us today.
Yeah, thanks, Grant. Nice to see you.
thanks, Jeremy. See you later. Thanks, Chuck.
Yeah, no problem. Hey, Jeremy, Thunder got a game tonight against the Jazz in Salt Lake, and they took care of business against the Lakers the other night. Just going to ask you, as a Thunder fan, and you're pretty good at fending off the detractors. I'll give you that. Obviously playoffs, we've talked about this. Thunder split with the Lakers early week Sunday, and then turn around Monday or Tuesday, I think.
It's Tuesday, yes.
Yeah. So they're trailing by one when Luka gets ejected, and then commence to take over and win by a decent margin. What was your take on that game against the Lakers? And obviously there's so much build up amongst the talking heads about this Thunder team. Give me your take on what you feel about here wrapping up the regular season.
Well, the Lakers, that first game, they couldn't miss. They're feeling their way. They didn't know how to defend them. It's a completely different squad than they've seen from the Lakers earlier this season. Second game, they played a lot better. They closed out on the three more, limited what they could do there. LeBron, but Luka was having a good game. But Luka, if you just have one guy with tattoos sitting courtside, apparently, to get in his head, you can get him out of the game. I don't understand. I just don't understand. Other arenas, fans talk. Mm-hmm. They all do. Everybody, every fan base has somebody that is gonna dig and talk and get on these guys.
Mm-hmm.
Why has Luka at this point in his career not been able to tune that out? I mean, how?
I mean, he's volatile to say the least.
He is a mental midget. He's emotional. He does this. He cried. You know how I feel about Luka. Great player,
Yeah.
top 5 player in the league. If he ever got the mental game down, look out. He just can't. But this Thunder team, I don't like what they're doing right now at the end of the season as far as resting guys. I think tonight the entire starting five's out. I would like to at least see him play a quarter or a half just to keep that continuity.
Yeah,
But right now you got concerned about injury.
you
The
want
Lakers
cohesion,
game was,
I think.
yeah, and the Lakers have everything to play for at this point of the season. Oklahoma City's had the first seed wrapped up for 3 weeks now, a month. It's been a while.
Yeah.
They're trying to stay healthy. I can see where the motivation might not be as high to get out there and just, play at your highest level, which I think is a mistake. And they get that mindset back. They need to go out every night like it's a playoff game.
Yeah,
Tonight
and
they're in Utah.
The
Go ahead,
intensity
sorry.
has been there. I'm sorry. The intensity's been there. I mean, you don't blow out the teams that they blow out. You don't reach
No.
the number 1 seed overall in the league without getting out and getting after it. And it's just one of those situations where we've seen it before in the NBA since the dawn of time. The window begins to open, but these young squads have to get over the veteran, the throne of the chosen. And right now the West, it's so bizarre. Things in the NBA are so bizarre, and you've got a former player commentator steps in as a first-year head coach. He's not the coach. You got Mike Malone getting fired at Denver. Then you've got Jokic sitting on the sidelines drawing up a play. And then I see a deal yesterday saying that what caused the dissension and Malone's demise was his favor of Russell Westbrook, and I don't see that being. I don't see Westbrook being that bad of a teammate. I don't know. I don't know that's been
by all
booked on him.
accounts. By all accounts, he's been a great teammate.
Yeah,
he just does some dumb things on the floor, but he's been a great teammate. He's a good teammate in OKC. He's a good teammate in Houston. He's a good teammate in Washington. You don't stay in the league as long as he has with the warts in his game, unless you're a good teammate.
Yeah.
And Malone's he's gonna land on his feet in San Antonio. So
yeah,
he may get that thing humming again down there with Wemby.
Well, with Cooper Flag and Wemby on the same squad, I'd say so.
Oh, definitely. San Antonio would just be that team to do it.
Oh yeah, it's coming. That's why I wore the hat today. It's coming.
Yeah, but the Thunder are not. They're not a veteran enough team to be able to just turn it on and turn it off.
Yeah. And you have to get out and I know that's all we hear is it slows down so much in the playoffs. Michael Busso says he's dumbfounded about Malone being fired. It's just unbelievable.
It was a stupid move.
I mean, a guy's got a world championship under his belt, and
not just a world championship. That was 2 years ago.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. It's not. You're exactly right.
It's not like they're missing the playoffs. It's not like they didn't have a deep run last year. The West is really good. The West is really good, and Oklahoma City's record this year is unprecedented with the strength of the conference.
Well, if you want to blame, if you want to look at reasons, how many seasons have they had Jamal Murray for a good portion of the season? He's
parked on the sideline. Yeah,
he's right behind his Kentucky brethren. AD as for being on the injury report that I've noticed.
Yeah,
and you would have to say, and like I've said, I think it's a process. This Western Conference is pretty wide open. Other than the fact that they're scripting LeBron to get another title, but it's pretty wide open. If you're the 4 or 5 seed, as Denver could be, you got a fighting chance to win the conference.
You're going to be fine. It's not like they're playing all their games on the road. They get home games. It's going to be all right. Steal one on the road. You're good. Jokic is
how they fell to Minnesota last season is kind of beyond me. That was kind of odd. But, you've got what everybody, the detractors of SGA seem to want to crown Jokic as the MVP every year, and they couldn't get past Minnesota last year, so whatever.
Well, that's the thing about the MVP race in the NBA. It doesn't matter if you're the best player. It's just who we're tired of voting for.
Yeah,
Which
exactly.
is why LeBron doesn't have a billion MVPs, which is why Jordan didn't have a billion MVPs.
Yeah. Masters coverage going on right now. Not seeing a current update on these.
Rose is still at 7 under.
Okay.
I think.
So his 8 under, what did he finish yesterday? Was he 8 under?
Yeah. How do you say it? A with the little O on top. Is it Oberg?
Oberg, yeah.
Oberg is 5. He's 2 shots back. And
I think he's a Texas Tech kid.
Hey, brother.
Bryson.
Bryson's 3 shots back. Here we go.
Rochambeau out there walking around. It said that what I saw was Justin Rose's 5th career first-round lead.
Yeah, and he's won one Masters. Was it one Masters? Did he win it? I think he won a Masters.
Yeah, I think so.
I know Rory blew up yesterday. Nice job in the first round there, buddy.
Yeah. Oh, back to the NBA. Did you just feel like the whole 50 point or 40 plus point outpouring and just all the hoopla around the Dallas thing that just felt so scripted to me?
It did. I'm tired of Dallas. I'm tired of I'm tired of the Lakers. I'm tired of Luka. It is just what they've done to that franchise down there. It's inexplicable.
They make it impossible to cheer for Austin Reeves.
And the fact that you're like, oh, well, he's going to the Lakers for basically what? Anthony Davis and maybe a pick.
No, I thought the pick went somewhere else.
Exactly. So you get a guy in Davis who, when he's on the floor, is great, but he's not a long-term solution for a franchise that needs a long-term solution.
I'm just going to say this right now. And
it's like the NBA just held a gun to their head and said, trade Luka to Dallas or else.
Well, and we've heard the conspiracy theories and talked about it. And, it makes sense. They're holding a gun to the head of the Texas legislature to give us gambling so we can build a resort for this flogging. Cuban says he lost money most every year he had that team. So they have to throw in the degenerate gamblers availability to try to jump in and attend a Mavs game. But looking forward, I'll just say this: they'll be in Vegas in 3 years. They will stay in Dallas.
They will. Yeah, they got to have that gambling. Got to have it.
Mm-hmm.
It's ridiculous, and that's going to take and if they do get it, that's going to pull a huge chunk from the Oklahoma's gambling revenue.
Oh yeah,
all that WinStar money.
Oh yeah, that you go to WinStar, I guarantee you that is 90% Texans in that joint.
Yep. And
Durant to Choctaw Casino. Steve Anderson, our good friend, has connections down there. So yeah, I mean, and then I don't know. I'm surprised they haven't built a big casino in Beavers Bend because that just seems to be chock full of Texans as well. But anyways, hey, I'm just going to say this, and I'm going to say it in a resolute manner to hopefully use it as a short. If we cannot have the Washington Bullets, then by God, you cannot call Austin AR-15.
Man, the Washington Bullets, man, what a fantastic nickname.
Yeah.
That was so cool. Washington Bullets.
I mean,
sounds great. Rolls off the tongue. Much better than the Washington Wizards. But no, AR-15 or Andre former Jazz great Andre Karolinko, AK-47.
Yeah. AK-47, AR-15. If we can't have the bullets, I don't want that either.
We can't have firearm celebrations. So
no.
John Morant has gone to the grenade.
Well, then no AR-15. Austin Reeves, sorry, bud, your cool little nickname is gone.
That's right.
Anyway, so hey, NFL draft coming up in just 2 weeks, and man, it's so funny. And I'm going to say this: I understand, and I know it's a certain contingency of our population that really doesn't like confident football players, even overconfident football players. I don't have an issue with Shadur Sanders. If he has confidence in himself, if he believes he's going to come in and turn around a franchise, man,
He should believe it.
believe it. I mean, you've got to believe in yourself in this world because nobody else will.
I mean, the watch thing was stupid.
Yeah,
I could do without that.
Yeah.
But
it was. I mean, we've seen guys hike a leg on a football in the end zone in this world too. So
I mean, I guess everybody wants that humble guy to come in, but these guys are young. They're brash. Yeah, it's a game. Let it be fun. Just quit beating all the joy out of everything.
Yeah. Dan Narvis
if
says,
he wants to say he thinks he can get in there and turn a franchise around, who cares? That's what they're drafting him for.
Yeah, exactly. Dan Narvis says the Bullets were a great team in the late 70s. Bullets, Suns, Sonics were all fun to watch. The Clash even made a Washington Bullets song. I'll have to research that. I didn't realize it's not White Riot. I know that. So, but no, I mean, and I realize that Kuiper and all the other draft gurus have to have content to talk about, to do segments on the mothership. But I mean, hey, if he did fall to 9, and now the word is Jackson Dart could surpass him as the second quarterback taken. I don't think so. I mean,
only if the Steelers take him, because I don't see anybody else, jumping out of their shoes to get up to Jackson Dart. But the narrative around Shadur is eerily similar to the narrative that was around Baker, Reagan, Mayfield when he came out of Oklahoma. He's cocky, he's brash, he's immature. And he went to that Browns franchise, and he did turn that Browns franchise around.
Yeah.
Before they lost their ever-loving minds and took a big swing and a miss on Deshaun Watson, who will not play this season and may never play again. But Baker's down ripping off playoff wins in Tampa Bay and making the Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
While the Browns are the Browns.
Well, the latest mock draft I'm looking at has Shadur Sanders going number 9 to the Saints. That would probably be a good spot for him, I think. I mean, he's going to go in there and I don't know. I mean,
the Saints are in cap hell.
Yeah.
That is just a moribund franchise again. They don't really have any flexibility to do anything.
The Giants, I think, were rumored to maybe be looking at Shadur Sanders, but then they bring in Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston, I think.
Yeah, and I think I've seen them in one mock taking Jalen Milroe in the second round as just someone to develop. That makes sense to me. If you're going to bring in 2 guys that can be starters in the league, why are you going to bring in a quarterback in the first round that you're going to be paying first-round money to sit for 2 years?
Yeah. Looking at it, Jeremy, I think the University of Texas at Austin could have 3 players taken in the first round.
Well, one of them's not.
Yeah, that's true.
What's the receiver's name that got picked? Isaiah Bond, who's out on Bond, funny enough.
Yeah, but they've got the lineman. Well, what's been amazing is in the place of Bond, Matthew Golden has escalated up the rankings. The tackle, Kelvin Banks, and then I think Jahdae Barron.
They're going to get a first-round offensive lineman. What a novel concept to bring in guys that can actually go in the first round.
Yeah. I'm not seeing Barron on this mock draft. And this one has Jalen Milroe going number 21 to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I could see that as a fit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he hands the ball off well.
Who would you say? I mean, Cam Ward's looking at going to Tennessee and ruining his career early.
Yep.
This has the Browns taking Travis Hunter, number 2. I'm not going to.
It doesn't matter who the Browns take.
Yeah, because Denzel Ward, if he goes to a real franchise, he's one of the shutdown corners that we hear about today.
Well, he's one of the shutdown corners that we just don't hear about because he plays for the stinking Browns.
Exactly,
they just suck. Top to bottom, Carter, just a dysfunctional franchise.
Yeah. Abdul Carter going number 3 to the Giants. And then the other one of note, Ashton Genty, the running back, going number 10 to The Bears.
He seems like a Bears pick. I'm sure they would probably be better served using that pick elsewhere since they have Roshan Johnson and who's the other? They have DeAndre Swift.
Yes, they do.
Okay, yeah, I mean they've got a decent running back rotation there. Genty's going to be a good player in the NFL. He's fast enough. He's
Jahdae Barron.
Pat Jones again. He's trunky. He's fast twitch. Trunky.
I did find Jahdae Barron, the cornerback from the University of Texas, going number 13 to the Miami Dolphins. I'm not seeing in this first round, Jeremy, not seeing any Big 12 players that they've got projected. Oh, sorry, McMillan, the receiver from Arizona.
Ted McMillan, the guy that doesn't watch film. I've seen him drop into 31 to the Chiefs.
Well, there you go.
He won't need to watch film. He just needs to work. He just needs to run around until he gets open.
Just find an opening, son. All right, so the NFL draft coming up, and we'll be interested in following that as well. And then, man, just so much going on here. I know I've got, high school sports as we talked about with Grant Merrill, high school sports with soccer, baseball, and track and field. A lot of stuff going on there, and then spring football. Is anybody has there been any talk and it's sad because I listened to KREF yesterday and Tyler McComas I think he was just kind of really throwing his hands up in the air about the whole Nico Iamaleava situation where I guess his agent's trying to renegotiate with Tennessee. These NIL deals, they're going to have to. I mean, now once the schools actually start paying them, it's going to be a contract situation, right? You can't be.
It has to be.
You can't do work. You can't be a state employee, which is in effect what you are. You can't be a state employee and not work without some semblance of a contract.
It's just college football, college athletics are truly they're off the rails. Now he's wanting market value.
Yeah.
Because the market was different when he signed that NIL deal for $2.5 million a year.
Yeah,
come on, man.
It's interesting too because the product on the field is just probably as good as it's ever been. I mean,
yeah,
the NCAA tournament, which man, kudos to Kelvin Sampson, just heartbreaking that they couldn't finish the deal and beat the sexual predator there at Gainesville.
The lumpy offense made his debut there in that last second, though, didn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Couldn't get a shot.
Yeah, it was sad. The way it went down was real sad. But and I still got a lot of love for the Big 12, man. I mean, it'll always the programs in that squad in that conference, and then plus a lot of the Pac-12 teams that I always enjoyed being there. I can be a Big 12 fan, but no, I mean, I thought the tournament was great. I thought everybody was extremely happy, apparently, with all 4 number 1 seeds being in it.
That was my only issue is we didn't have the Cinderella run. We didn't have the big upsets.
Yeah.
It was all basically to chalk. But
from what I'm told by authorities and people in the know is that nobody wants to see Cinderella there, getting demolished.
My bracket sure did.
Yeah. I lost our bracket challenge. If Houston would have won, I would have taken the title. I was just a few points behind Weatherford coach Cody Cantrell. He had Duke, or he had Florida. I had Houston, the winner of that game. If Houston would have won, I would have got it. And then he wins. Luke Clement passes me by because he had Florida as well. He being the sports director at Coyote at 95.5 the Coyote. But it was a fun bracket, and I thought I did pretty well. I had 3 of the final 4.
Nice.
So that's not bad, but still not enough to overcome Houston losing in the finals. But that'll be a lot of fun. And so Cody Cantrell, he'll have a gift come to. I still got to get a gift to or an award to Conard for winning fantasy football back in the fall.
You should send him some summer sausage.
Summer sausage. I'm just down the road from Watonga. Maybe sending some Watonga cheese.
There you go.
Yeah. Well,
Mine's
hopefully he'll
stinky
tune
as
in
well.
and check out all the Arkansas talk we did, because I kind of did that. You know, we needed to catch up with Grant Merrill, but also wanted to get Arkansas chatter in there for Connard. But
Oh, Connor probably can't listen as much anymore because he's back in an office.
he's back in the office. Well, you know, you have multiple windows on your terminal. So, anyways, let's start making our way out of here. What do you got going on this weekend, Jeremy?
Man, I got a lot of work to do around the house, a lot of yard work, a lot of responsibilities with the kiddo. It's going to be a busy weekend.
Yeah, I'll be trying to catch some Masters tournament action, and probably definitely make a point to sit down Sunday and catch the final round. And then also tonight is senior night at Loomis Field in Weatherford for the Eagles and Lady Eagles soccer program as they take on Harding Charter Prep. And then also, man, got the yard treated the other day.
Uh-huh.
And then you got to water it. And let me tell you something. If people are out there looking at houses, looking to purchase a house, man, sprinkler system means a lot. And I don't have one now. I had one in Norman, don't have one now, and I should have invested in one of those tractor things.
Oh, I've got one of those tractor things in the backyard.
Really?
Yep, it just goes back and forth.
Yeah, I have a humongous backyard.
It was my grandmother's.
Oh, well, there you go. Anyways, well, listen, he's Jeremy Schroder. I'm Chuck Ramsey. We are Lawdog Sports, the Weekend Big Show. Be sure and follow us on social media at Lawdog Sports on Instagram, Twitter, X, and Facebook. You can also find links to all of our posts on lawdogsports.com, and then also listen to us at your convenience right here on the YouTube channel. Please, please, please subscribe to our YouTube channel at Lawdog Sports, and then also our podcast pages, SoundCloud, Spotify, Amazon Podcast, and Apple Podcast. Be safe out there. Don't text and drive, and sure don't drink and drive, and we'll talk to you real soon.
I even wore the Masters shirt today.